My Lord, the Honorable Deputy Chief Justice, the Honorable Attorney General, the Honorable Acting Principal Judge, Justices of the Supreme Court, of the Court of Appeal, my Lord, my predecessor in office, Chief Justice Bart Katurebe, the eminent Right Honorable Prime Ministers here, Senior Counsel, and Njugu, members of Parliament who are here, the family of our foreign learned brother, all distinguished persons who are here this afternoon. I have brief remarks to make by way of eulogy. I have the honor to welcome you to the judiciary home where we are now. We thank you for condoling with us for this unfortunate loss of our mentor and legal icon, Justice Professor George Wilson Kanyeihamba. A lot has been said about our departed brother, and rightly so. Justice Kanyehamba's illustrious career as a teacher, politician, and judge, as well as his astounding academic contributions, have significantly shaped the nation's legal landscape and jurisprudence. The judiciary is proud of him and will forever remember him. As was said by the Deputy Chief Justice of Uganda, what is peculiar about, I think most professions, and let me speak about the legal profession, when you serve at this site, at the bench site, you never die. And if you are a Kanyeihamba, even for thousands of years, you never die, because you are cited every day. And they don't say Kanyeihamba, formerly Justice of the Supreme Court. He will always be cited as Kanyeihamba JSC. Or my brother Bart Katurebe will always be cited as Katurebe Chief Justice, not emeritus. This is how we continue living until thy kingdom come. Justice Kanyeihamba joined the judiciary right at the apex, the top of the pyramid, as a Justice of the Supreme Court, and served till his retirement in the year 2009. Before his appointment to the Supreme Court in 1997, he was in academia. Nonetheless, his grasp of the law and the art of judgment writing were very strong and commendable. He is well known for his unwavering dedication to enforcing the law, his deep intelligence, and his fearless independence. In addition to serving on the bench, Justice Kanyeihamba was a distinguished scholar and prolific writer whose writings served as a source of inspiration and guidance for innumerable scholars and legal professionals in Uganda and around the world. He gained respect and recognition on a national and worldwide level for his contributions to the legal and academic domains. He was one of the pioneer judges of the African Court on Human and People's Rights, pioneer president of the African chapter of the International Association of Refugee Law Judges, member of the International Criminal Court Bar Council, and a barrister of the Supreme Court of England and Wales. Quite a mouthful. He taught law in a number of institutions, including Makerere University, Uganda Christian University, the University of Wales, Lancaster Polytechnic, now Coventry University, University of Warwick, Portsmouth University, and Uganda Law School in Samizi, which became the Law Development Center, among others. He also served as Chancellor of Kampala International University from June 2003 to April 2011, and Pioneer Chancellor of Kabale University from the year 2002 to 2015. Through this calling, the people that have been in his steadfast integrity, moral leadership, and extraordinary bravery in upholding the independence of the judiciary and the sanctity of the Constitution define Justice Kanyehamba's legacy. I wish to thank the family members of the late Professor Kanyeihamba for assisting the professor in all possible ways to accomplish all the milestones that have been enumerated in this short life that he has lived. We also appreciate you in a special way for standing the stress of more than 2 weeks funeral activities. It is quite draining, but you have braved the task. May the good Lord bless you for his further sacrifice. It has been said our foreign brother spoke his mind. He was candid, he was brave, but there are many people in this country who are brave, who speak their minds. The difference between Kanyeihamba and many of them is that he was a man of substance. He did not speak just for the sake of speaking. He was not a hollow team. When he spoke, agreed with him or not, you remember what he said. He was a real man and quite stubborn. When the Deputy Chief just said, if you have this program book, look at the 3rd page, there's evidence of his stubbornness. There's a road named somewhere in Kampala, I believe, after him. This is the only road in the world that I know of, and I'm going to read out the full name of the road. Professor Dr. G.W. Kanyeihamba, LLB, BAL, LLM, PhD, LLD, SC for Senior Counsel Road. That is Professor Kanyeihamba for you. As the judiciary family, we offer our deepest sympathies to the family and friends of the late Justice Kanyeihamba, His Excellency, the President, and the government of Uganda, and all who have been impacted by his life and work. May Honorable Justice Professor Wilson Kanyehamba's soul rest in eternal peace, and may his family find comfort and solace in the strong hands, the grace of the Lord. Alphonse Chigamoy Dollo, Chief Justice of the Republic of
Supreme Court. For the record, my name is Asime Anthony, as earlier introduced by the learned Attorney General, appearing before you in my capacity as the Vice President for the Uganda Law Society, holding brief for our President, Isaac Makade. My Lords, the Uganda Law Society filed an affidavit in reply to the application, and I do pray that the same be adopted as our official response to the application, and the affidavit in support sworn by Her Worship, the Acting Chief Registrar, Lamunu Pamela Ochaya. My Lords, in addition to the welcome submissions of the learned Attorney General, permit me to present this tribute from the Uganda Law Society under the leadership of the Radcon Governing Council in honor of the indomitable spirit of Justice Professor George Wilson Kanyeihamba, a colossus of Uganda's legal, political, and moral landscape. who passed away on the 14th of July 2025. My lords, Professor Kanyeihamba was more than a judge. He was a consummate politician who stood unyieldingly for justice, constitutionalism, and the rule of law. He was an academic and author who never relented from his calling. Above all, he was exemplary. He was an exemplary citizen, a patriot whose life was spiced with courage, conviction, and unrelenting fight for a better Uganda. He vividly showed us what it means to be pro-citizen. To the bench, to the bar, to the nation, and particularly to those who cherish truth over convenience, let us honor Justice Kanyeihamba by following his example of writing memoirs to immortalize the lessons of our lives for the future generations. My lords, I would remiss not to emphasize at this occasion that Justice Kanyeihamba was staunchly proud of a radical dimension to his life and career. And my lord, this can be seen in 6 anecdotes that will suffice. The first one, my lords, being returning to active legal practice upon retirement. My lords, when Justice Kanyeihamba retired from the Supreme Court in 2009, at the mandatory age of 70, most expected him to fade into a quiet, sedentary retirement, but that was not Kanyeihamba, my lords. He returned to active legal practice with a vigor that shamed younger advocates, taking on cases that challenged the status quo. Even in his 80s, he filed a constitutional petition from his wheelchair to oppose an attempt to remove bail provisions, demonstrating that age could not dim his radical fire. As noted elsewhere by the Kampala Lord Mayor and constitutional law giant senior advocate Elias Lukwago, Justice Kanyeihamba remained engaged in legal activism even in his final days, a testament to his refusal to abandon the battlefield of justice. The second one, my lords, is campaigning aggressively against judicial corruption and incompetence. My lords, Justice Kanyeihamba was a relentless critic of judicial rot. He publicly condemned the creeping authoritarianism and judicial interference that plagued Uganda's courts, calling out corruption and incompetence with a clarity that puts the powerful at great unease. His writings, including The Blessings and Joy of Being Who You Are, that was in 2012, exposed the internal dynamics of judicial misconduct. He did not just critique, he demanded reform, urging the judiciary to discard colonial tools of suppression and embrace accountability. His voice was a clarion call for a corrupt-free judiciary, a mission that the current Radical New Birth proudly carries forward. My Lord the Third, like Jesus in chapter 11, verse 35, in John chapter 11, verse 35, Justice Kanyeihamba wept. In a poignant display of his passion for justice, Justice Kanyeihamba was moved to tears at the Constitutional Court a decade ago when its administrators refused to register a filing he deemed critical but which they found controversial and offensive. That is why he wept. This was no ordinary petition, my lord. It was a bold challenge to executive overreach, and his emotional response of weeping underscored his deep personal investment in the rule of law. As a jurist who saw the Constitution as a living covenant, his tears were not of weakness, but of frustration at a system that dared to silence truth. This moment that was captured on TV footage remains a powerful symbol of his unyielding commitment. The fourth one, my lord, actively campaigning for a leapfrog rule. My lord, Justice Kanyeihamba was a visionary who saw the inefficiencies in Uganda's judicial system as barriers to justice. He actively campaigned for a leapfrog rule, allowing certain cases of constitutional or public importance to bypass lower courts and proceed directly to the Constitutional Court and the Supreme Court. This, my lord, was not just procedural reform. It was a radical push to ensure timely justice for citizens, especially in cases involving human rights and separation of powers. His advocacy for Article 137(5) and similar initiatives rooted in his chairmanship of the legal committee that drafted the 1995 Constitution showed his foresight in making the judiciary more accessible and responsive. Unfortunately, my lords, the whereabouts of a miscellaneous cause that this good judge once bravely leapfrogged to this some 10 years ago are still unknown. My lord the fifth, writing and speaking courageously about misconduct at the bench and the bar. My lord, Justice Kanyeihamba's pen was as mighty as his voice. Through his many publications, like Casebook on Lawyers' Ethics, Professional Fees and Charges, and Kanyeihamba's commentaries on law, politics and governance, the great judge exposed misconduct at both the bench and the bar with unflinching honesty. He wrote of judges who succumbed to political pressure and lawyers who betrayed their oath for profit. In interviews and public lectures, he recounted specific instances, such as the 2006 election petition. His courage in naming these truths, even at the cost of his position at the African Court on Human and People's Rights, inspired a generation to speak out. And lastly, my lords, never stopping the struggle for a better Uganda, that's the sixth. Kanyeihamba's life was a ceaseless fight for Uganda's soul. From his early days as Attorney General under Yusuf Lule in 1979 to his human rights activism in exile during Obote's regime, he never wavered. His role in the NRA external support networks, his chairmanship of the 1995 Constitution's Drafting Committee, and his dissent in the 2006 election petition, all were chapters in a life dedicated to a Uganda governed by law, not raw power. Even when labeled an agent of disorientation, Justice Kanyeihamba responded to the president, "I will criticize you when you're wrong, and I will praise you when you're right," embodying a patriotism that transcended personal ties. My lords, Justice Kanyeihamba's life had a specific spice, a blend of intellect, courage, and moral clarity that seasoned every role he played. As an academic, he left an incredible mark at Makerere University. He, together with the late Professor Kakoza, helped found the law school at Makerere. And while there, he did mentor legal giants like the CJ Emeritus Bart Katurebe, who is in our midst, Justice Eldad Mwangusia, and many of you, your lordships. As an author, his works remain core references for constitutional law. And as our president, Isaac Semakade, ably noted, Justice Kanyeihamba is quite essentially the North Star of all constitutional law students, practitioners, and adherents in Uganda. My lords, permit me to close this R&B tribute by repeating our prayer that more justices and justices should write memos as Justice Kanyeihamba did, to capture the struggles, the victories, and the lessons of our legal fraternity. The Uganda Law Society will honor Justice Kanyeihamba by continuing his fight, challenging judicial corruption, advocating for reforms like the leapfrog rule, and ensuring that justice is not a privilege but a right. Rest in power, Justice Kanyeihamba. Your robe may hang, but your truth lives on. My lords, in light of the foregoing, we pray that this honorable court may be pleased to grant leave to the judicial officers and staff of the judiciary to commemorate the life and legacy of the late Honorable Justice Professor George Wilson Kanyeihamba in recognition of his extraordinary service to the Republic of Uganda. We so pray, my lords.